Okay. So the Rigveda mantra, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadhanti. See, the truth is one, but the wise speak of it in many ways. That is the attraction, and that is beautiful. That is the main area of Indian knowledge system. See, it reminds us that wisdom can take many forms. Just as Indian knowledge system, we are taking that now we are blending together Indian knowledge system, especially the Ayurveda, then poetry from philosophical, and the stress management things from yoga. So everything we are now connecting. So our goal today is to explore how we can ethically use, represent, and document IKS. So, and most importantly, how to create educational resources from traditional wisdom and are copyrightable, valuable, and culturally sensitive. See, this Indian knowledge system, the traditional textbooks, it's very culturally sensitive as well. So that is why I just mentioned that is how we can use this Indian knowledge system textbooks as like valuable. Hope today's theme is this only, ethical use, representation, and documentation of IKS. So the same objective I also have. See, the thing to foster responsible, accurate, and culturally sensitive documentation and representation of India's traditional knowledge. I know because last sessions also you know about Indian knowledge system and they already explained Indian knowledge system, but I also have to explain something about Indian knowledge system, otherwise my presentation not complete. So Indian knowledge system is, as per this definition, Indian knowledge system encompasses the diverse tradition, emphasizing holistic understanding and fostering cultural continuity. So it has a Indian knowledge system has evolved through the centuries. We know because Shruti Pramana, Shruti, the basic thing is Shruti only. So the ancient textbooks, everything is in the form of oral tradition. Then after the script evolved. So the historical context means Indian knowledge system evolved through the centuries, shaped by the diverse traditions, philosophy, and the cultural exchange as well. But why? Why we are now in this century, in the age of artificial intelligence also, we are using this Indian knowledge system and we are talking about Indian knowledge system. That is what this kind of FDPs are happening. So what is the scope and diversity means? Indian knowledge system encompasses the philosophy, astronomy, medicine, just given the examples, arts, reflecting in rich cultural diversity and historical depth, which means the significance. What is the significance of contemporary society? In Sanskrit traditional textbooks, we used to say prayojanam anudishya mandona pravartate. Without the result, if we want to get the result. So what is the purpose of this? See, the purpose means relevance itself. So relevance of the modern life means Indian knowledge system offer holistic insight, sustainable practice, and rich cultural heritage applicable in modern societal challenges. See, the challenges are also there. So how we can use Indian knowledge system in the area of society challenges and the global knowledge, that also mainly this how to bridge ancient and modern practices, IKS and CKS, how we can connect IKS and CKS, the current knowledge system, how we can connect together. So these are the aims of Indian knowledge system. And let's start with a question like, what is the role of our universities in preserving this IKS? That also, because now we are in this higher education area. So Indian knowledge system is enriching the curricula with the values, sustainability, and the cultural depth. Mainly, it focuses, that also there. See, it is fostering interdisciplinary learning. Imagine blending ancient Indian agriculture techniques with modern environmental science. So, or teachings of Vedic mathematics alongside calculus. This opens us a new way of solving today's problem and promote the cultural identity. Our students grown up knowing the Einstein, Shakespeare, but do they know about Aryabhatta, Kalidasa? Some of the, because if second language or some other subject teachers, they used to teach. But by teaching IKS, we root them in their cultural identity with pride with pride itself. And this encourages the ethical leadership. Indian philosophy, especially rich with dharma vivakam, our ethics, like the darshana, the Upanishads. So all these things, the ethics of living itself. So when the student learn leadership from IKS perspective, they learn empathy, balance, and purpose. These are some examples. Then the sustainable development. Sustainable development, now everybody is facing the stress and strain. So how we can use these ideas, how to remove these kind of issues. And by rainwater harvesting, organic farming, all the ideas we have to take. So for that purpose, we have to use Indian knowledge system. So I just explained like philosophy. Key philosophers we know, the Shankaracharya, the beginning itself, I just explained that Sadashiva Samarambham. So this key philosophers include Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, Gautama, Vaisheshika philosophy, Kanada. So main thing of our Indian knowledge system is the concept of ethics and morality. That is why this Indian school of thoughts like Darshana philosophy. Indian philosophy means Darshana. Drishyate anena idi darshanam. That Shad Darshanas, Astika, Nastika. Astika Darshanas like Sankhya Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purvamimamsa, Uttaramimamsa. Nastika Darshana, then Charvaga, Buddha, Jaina. These are the Darshanas. So these Darshanas are also explaining about the morality, about the ethics, the daily things itself. But we have to implement that things. That is the major idea of those who are promoting Indian knowledge system. See, if we are connecting to the Sanskrit textbooks and Indian textbooks, the classical textbooks and their educational values means classical textbooks means like such as Vedas. Vedas, first it is Shruti Pramana. So Vedas, after that Upanishad. So provide the rich educational insight and ethical principles, making them valuable and copyrightable resources for the educational purpose. And one more thing, this how we can use this, the interpretations, the contemporary interpretations and adaptations. I'll come to this point, but I just given an introduction about that. Then visual and performing arts as educational resource. The visual and performing arts derive from Sanskrit, Natya Shastra, the Samaveda, Samagana, and this Indian scriptures. So the dance, music, and the visual arts are copyrightable. But how? How? That is the question. How we can use that in the form of copyrightable? So this is where your ears should perk up. How we can copyright these ideas. So my topic also that only. See, we are reclaim and rebuilding India's knowledge system. See, India's rich intellectual heritage, spanning hold and treasure of trove of knowledge that can profoundly transform modern education. But how? How we can use that Indian knowledge system? For that purpose, we have to discuss about these three pillars of IKS revival in modern education. See, if everybody is saying Indian knowledge system, we can use Indian knowledge system for the welfare of and how we can use Indian knowledge system. All these ideas are there. See, cultivating cultural confidence means our students often perceive modern science and mathematics as exclusively Western constructions. So our idea is we have to include Indian knowledge system to the how we can implement. So integrating IKS empowers them with deep understanding of our intellectual legacy, fostering immense pride and reconnecting them with the rich, vibrant heritage and that instill global advancement. And one other thing, IKS offers unique framework and methodologies that when combined with contemporary approaches can speak groundbreaking innovation. Imagine merging holistic principles of Ayurveda with cutting-edge artificial intelligence to develop personalized and preventive healthcare tools that are both effective and cultural present. But all these things we have to think about what? Why we have, how we will interpret, how we will explain these ideas. See, the ancient knowledge system is there and we have to use that and how we will use that. Here the point is everybody is thinking this. You might wonder that if traditional knowledge is already ancient, then how can we copyright it? So here the answer is, while the idea cannot be copyrighted, your unique expression of that idea can be. You can repackage traditional content, say design a modern Indo-Graphic Panini grammar. You can do that, or create an e-course on yoga philosophy, and that became a new creation. It's a new creation. So that is why that's the where this education meets entrepreneurship. See, let me clarify one thing. Copyright does not protect idea, facts, and the traditional in raw form. That is the main thing I wanted to tell you. See, copyright is just, we have to explain about copyright means IPR, intellectual property right. You know, everybody knows intellectual property right. So the legal privilege granted to the inventor or the creator to safeguard the intellectual work. Only this is the thing, IPR. Under this IPR only, this Copyright Act will come. See, this copyright is simply, we can say, because it's, there are no complicated areas are there, but I just wanted to tell you, the copyright is a legal protection that grants creators exclusive right to their original work, preventing unauthorized use, reproduction, or distribution by others. How? See, because when we are moving to the Indian knowledge system textbooks, Bhagavad Gita, the examples of traditional textbooks is traditional public, it's a public domain, right? So if in a Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, everything is there. Think about, so to create copyrightable educational resources, we must ensure that they are original, creative, and transformative. So the strategies is, idea is not protected. Your unique way of presenting that idea is protected. Interpretations and commentaries. So most of the Indian textbooks, hope most of them you know about the structure of ancient textbooks or Indian knowledge system textbooks. Mainly the Sanskrit textbooks are, some, it will be sutra in the form of sutras, then they will explain that in the form of commentary or bhashya. So they are explaining, the sutras are explaining in a different manner, that is bhashyas and commentaries. So Shankara Bhashya. So with this Bhagavad Gita, Shankaracharya Bhashya is there, Shankara Bhashya is there, Ramanuja's textbook, Bhagavad Gita, for the same Bhagavad Gita, Ramanuja Bhashya is there. So this Shankaracharya made the Bhashya as per that point of view. So Shankaracharya is the Advaita philosopher. So it is the commentary is in the form of, what we can say, the form of Advaita Vedanta. See, Ramanuja is a person who is following Vishishta Advaita. So it is connecting with something related to bhakti. So the interpretation will be in that manner. So the thing is, interpretations and commentaries provide original interpretations and the commentaries on the traditional text and concepts. Okay. So adaptations and modifications. Adapt and modify the traditional wisdom to suit modern context and audience. That we can do. So that is the purpose of copyright. Copyright serves to protect creators' original works, encouraging creativity and innovations by granting exclusive right, thereby ensuring the financial benefits and the recognition for the artist of author. That's another thing. But here the point is, for Indian knowledge system, especially, we are like the copyrightable things are very less, because original words like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Ayurvedic things, it's not copyrightable, but the interpretations, and you can interpret that in your own words. So for example, the yoga, Ayurvedic principles like Dosha, it's also copyrightable. So importance of creative field, it is when we are moving to the copyright potential original works, encouraging the creativity and the innovation, it ensures the artist and the creator retain the right and fostering and vibrant creativity, economic, and safeguarding their intellectual contribution. it's general thing about copyright. So the copyright law means understanding copyright law means licensing and permission. So licensing and permission are the essential for safeguarding the educational resources, ensuring the proper use and distribution while respecting copyright and the rights of original creator. So copyright registration process is there. The copyright registration process includes application submission, fee payment, and potential review, securing the legal protection for educational resources. Actually, from now we are discussing Indian knowledge system. That is what Sanskrit and Indian scriptures. So fair use means it permits limited use of copyrighted materials for the educational purpose, while the public domain works can be freely utilized, ensuring the respect of intellectual property right. That is very important here. See, we have to give the importance of this cultural context as well. If, for example, if we are doing some interpretations or commentaries means some shlokas are there, so you wanted to interpret that in your own ways, or if you want to give the explanation, more explanations for that. So the importance is the cultural context in language. Let me say one thing. Sanskrit language, its Prakrit is there, the ancient time. Then after that, the different scripts are there. In Indian knowledge system, especially Sanskrit area, the scripts, different scripts are there like Grantha, Brahmi, Sharada. So the manuscripts, most probably the manuscripts are, some manuscripts are in the form of that Grantha script. It's written in the form of Grantha. So Grantha we have to learn. Then only we have to give the interpretation. See, I just done my research on forensic science and Indian knowledge system. So then I understood Agada Tantra is there, the postmortem techniques are there. It is something is in the Arthashastra area, but others, most of that is in the form of manuscripts. So while we are interpreting this manuscript, the role of cultural meaning, and sometimes the misunderstanding also happens, right? So cultural context shapes the language, meaning, and usage, influencing communication styles, social norms, and interpretations, making it essential for the accurate understanding and effective interaction across the culture. If we are interpreting something, it should reach, the result should be there. That is, prayojanam anudishya mandona pravartate. So the cultural context we have to identify, we have to understand. Then the role of culture in meaning means cultural context shapes the meaning by influencing the perceptor's value and the communication style, highlighting the essential link between the language and the cultural understanding in effective communication. Then the cultural misunderstanding arises from differing beliefs and practices such as gestures, idioms, or values, leading to misinterpretation in communication from the potential damage in relationship. While we are interpreting some textbooks or whatever it is, we have to take care of these items like importance, cultural context, and sometimes the meaning also different, because Sanskrit language, the beauty of Sanskrit language is based on the context, the meaning also different. So we have to know that also. That time, the importance of this design will come. See, authenticity and attribution. It's very important. We are interpreting anything. The authenticity, about the authenticity and the attribution is very, very keen, and we have to think about that in itself. See, nowadays some of the textbooks they are, because in ancient textbooks, those who learn something about Sanskrit, or they are not confident with Sanskrit, because most of the ancient textbooks are in the form of Sanskrit. So that is why Indian knowledge system Delhi division, they are offering the research centers, and they are promoting Indian knowledge system, and they are giving the grants for projects, all that things. But there, one criteria is there, means one primary investigator should read and should know Sanskrit, should read how to read Sanskrit, how to interpret Sanskrit. The interpretations makes a lot of change. So that is why the main areas are like that. They mentioned like that. So authenticity is very important while we are interpreting the texts. Always cite original resources like Charaka Samhita, Ashtadhyayi, Bhagavad Gita, like Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra, the sutras are there and the interpretations are also there as per Shankaracharya. That's as per Advaita Vedanta. So based on that sampradaya and practitioner, you have to interpret. So the present, if you are a translator, if you are curator and facilitator, whatever it is, keep that originality. While we are interpreting something, that first we have to use the primary source. That is why while we are doing the research also, our guides used to say we have to use the primary sources. While we are editing the manuscript, that time also we have to get the primary sources. So it will avoid the distortion and the appropriation. See, if we are using this Indian, the primary source, so there will be less errors. So the main thing, best practice will be the collaboration itself. So collaborate with the Sanskrit schools or Sanskrit teachers or those who are expert in Sanskrit. So we can collaborate with them. So it will be easy. Otherwise, this kind of errors will happen. So this ethical design, why I'm explaining is, are we representing this knowledge system truthfully? This is a kind of ethical question, I think. So you can just think, how are we representing the knowledge system truthfully, respectfully, with attribution? So means transition with core, avoid reducing the idea, because if we are attributing, if we are explaining something, the primary text, the original text we have to keep. Then only that parampara sampradaya is there, then you can create, you can get an idea, then you can ask the others. So the best practice is just co-create with the traditional scholars, those who know Sanskrit, involve Sanskrit acharyas like Ayurveda doctors and Ayurveda acharyas. If you are doing Ayurveda, if you are doing something different, yoga, you can ask the experts, the concerned experts, you can ask. Then moving beyond the ethics, modularize the content, add the visuals and activities. So it is also, and include the assessment tools, package as creative work, acknowledging and tradition. So I explained, we are reinterpreting, not replicating. So explain and redesign the traditional wisdom and creativity rather than simply copying. See, if you are simply copying, it will not work. So you have to reinterpret, but the reinterpretation means traditional textbooks like this Charaka Samhita, Artha Shastra. So these are the public domains. So it is, I explained, it is not copyrightable, but the ideas you can use. So, but your interpretations, the structuring and the pedagogical design, that protected also. So you can use that. Then contextualize for the today's learner. How? Use that storytelling, infographic case studies and modern analogies. For instance, teaching Natya Shastra through animated videos or performance based on apps creates original transformative content. So this also copyrightable. You can. Then blend the traditional with contemporary. So combine yogic psychology with modern neuroscience or Ayurvedic nutrition with current health trends. This hybridization can yield fresh marketable courses, books and videos. It is very important while we are preserving, when we are using the Indian knowledge system, you have to interpret as the need and demand of the society. So let me just tell about what copyright doesn't protect and what protects. See, actually the thing is, I explained. So the idea, what we copyrighted, your original work based on the traditional knowledge can be protected. For example, see, if a plain translation of Gita, it will not. But how? It's not an origin, because it's if you want to do that translation and interpretation, it is copyrightable. That is why Bhagavad Gita copyrightable, but ancient, because it's an ancient in public domain. But your illustration, you can explain Gita workbook. You can create leadership qualities from Bhagavad Gita. So the original creative transformation of content, copyright. Yogasanas, but yoga, animated yoga course with voiceover. See, that is the difference A modern wellness book combining Ayurveda with the current nutrition science, with your writing and design. You can use that, like it's copyrightable. So the main idea is public domain is not equal to free for profit. So even public domain content can be used freely. Your version must be original to be protected. You can't just copy and claim for ownership. The thing is transformation. Transform the traditional knowledge. That is the documentation you can use like that. See, the transformation of traditional knowledge into something educational, accessible, and creative is what make it is copyrightable. One example I will tell you from Taittiriya Upanishad, Panchakosha concept into a digital wellness app with animations. So it is, your copyrightable rights includes, so it is reproducing the work and you can publish that, and copyrightable, this videos, lectures, license, everything. So the point is what copyright protects, that we have to think. Copyright is a legal right. We said copyright is a legal right granted to the creator for their original work of authorship. See, these public domains are not our original works, no, but how we can protect this? So we have to interpret, we have to reinterpret. So we have to explain that in without moving the essence. You have to use that ethics there. That is why this main area is you have to use the ethics over there. So the legal right gives the creator of original work, but this like public domain we can't. So the literary works, books, articles, poems, software codes, the musical works, songs, compositions, artistic works, paintings, sculptures, advisory, film, videos, everything is copyrightable, but the ancient textbooks we have to change like this. That is why now the works are happening, the projects are going on, the different kinds of projects are going on, how we have to use our Indian knowledge system as the need and demand of the society. For example, if pairing with AI to develop a personal health tips, like combining Panchakosha model with contemporary psychology. See, this is recently one research paper and one project also on this topic. So these are the ideas we can protect our Indian knowledge system, especially the idea. That means you can change, you can get that idea and reinterpret that your own way, but should ethically, you have to do that in a ethical point of view. We have to do that. There will be an ethical thing is there. Then, so how? So tools and integrity, design engaging experiences, create the workbook, apps. So because now we are in this modern age, right? So how we can use, create the workbooks, apps, games, and infographic, for example, Panchatantra storytelling app with moral lessons. So package with integrity means respect the root of wisdom. Use the resource ethically and avoid distortion of original meanings. It's very, very, very important, because while we are checking some of the, because I used to do the proofreading. So in this proofreading, sometimes the meaning is not suitable for the context. Sometimes the meaning correct only, but it is not suitable for the context. So that time, that place, we have to get the help of experts, those who are expert in that area. See, if some of the teachers, they are interested in Sahitya. So you have to take the literature thing from Sahitya, like Kalidasa, Raghuvamsha, Kumara Sambhava. So if you are interpreting and you are getting some other ideas like natural beauty or some things, you have to write, or you have to write some novels on that. So the Meghaduta of Kalidasa. So the concept is there, but you have to interpret with the help of that collaboration should needed. So the collaboration with the collective effect and the collaboration, only this kind of documentation will work. So what we have to do is engaging educators and the scholars. Engaging educators and the scholars is essential for collaborative effort in developing the innovative copyrightable education resources that honor Sanskrit and Indian scripture while fostering the cultural appreciation and learning. Advocating for copyright awareness. See, how many of us know about the essence of like copyright? See, I said no. Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, these are not copyrightable. See, idea is not protected. So you have to interpret. That is, intellectual legal act is the legal privilege granted to the inventor. So that is why we have to protect our Indian knowledge system textbooks as per like this digitalization we can do. And the manuscripts anyway, we have to do the manuscript edition. Manuscript edition is, it's copyrightable because the edition form is there. Then because sometimes this some areas, or because it's manuscript, no palm leaf, sometimes some areas missed. So you can reinterpret. Okay, sometimes you just copy, that is not copyright, it's not protected. Hope you understood. So advocating the copyright awareness, promote the copyright awareness to empower the creators and protect their work and preserve the cultural heritage of Sanskrit and Indian scripture for the future generations. See, ancient time it was orally transmitted, then after that it is in a written form. So then also, see, if it is Vedas, that's Vedic period is, we know when it was. So after that, the editions, alterations, editions, it's happened. So what happened? So we don't know what much content is there. And so the thing is, we have to read the textbook. We have to get the wisdom, that knowledge. I could say this, the spiritual knowledge and the wisdom. So then we have to interpret. So fostering a community of a resource creator, encouraged collaboration among the educators and the creators to share the knowledge, skill, and resources, fostering a vibrant community dedicated to producing and promoting copyrightable educational materials from Sanskrit and Indian scriptures. See, now also some of the textbooks, some of the books, it's not in a form of, it's not protected. Sometimes it is, some of the manuscripts are, some still it is in some, because they are, some of the traditional peoples, they are keeping that in a form of sacred, like something they are doing. So the thing is, we have to get aware about that and we have to do some work. So strategies for the protection means implement meticulous documentation of the original work, include draft, note, and citation to establish ownership and facilitate the legal protection against unauthorized use. So now unauthorized usage of so happening, you know, that is why we are just now we are talking about this kind of things, right? So unauthorized thing, sometimes the interpretation is also wrong. So that is why ethics, we have to keep ethics over there. So without the ethics, if you are doing something, that also, again, it's a problem. So creative common license enable the creators to specify usage right, allowing sharing while maintaining the control over their educational resource derived from Sanskrit and Indian scriptures. So negotiating the right and usage of agreements, when negotiating the rights and usage of agreement, clarify ownership, specify usage term, and ensure the protection from the unauthorized reproduction or distribution of educational resources derived from Sanskrit and Indian scriptures. So how it's some real life case studies like Leelavati, you know, Bhaskaracharya's Leelavati, turned into a illustrated math puzzle book for the school students. So it's like a workbook, we can document like that. And dosha based on meal planner app, Ayurvedic food principles turned into a personalized nutrition app. So Natya Shastra, learning toolkit like classical dance drama practices via interactive videos and music tools. But each of these, the main thing, respect the tradition, add the creativity, build an educational product. It can be protectable. See, you are not preserving because you are transmitting it into the next generation. So the format is maybe different. So documentation with ethics sensitivity means critical responsibility. Documenting IKS ethically, we must avoid destruction of facts, misinterpretation of communities, using the content without consent. Then while we are documenting IKS related textbooks, it should be accurate, culturally respectful, and community inclusive, aimed at empowerment as well. So always involve local practitioners or otherwise the teachers or otherwise those who are expert in Sanskrit. Their voices are the most authentic, because if something we experienced, that is a different thing, right? So the sweetness of that sugar, once we experience, then we can explain nicely. Otherwise, we cannot. That is why while we are doing this interpretations and edition, whatever the works and the projects, and I said no, some ideas like app creation, all these ideas. So, for example, combine yogic psychology with modern neuroscience, Ayurvedic nutrition, or Ayurvedic models of holistic health. That also, like Panini's Ashtadhyay. See, Panini's Ashtadhyay is a brilliant grammatical framework. So that framework you can use for algorithm. That is what computer language, Sanskrit is very connected with computer language. That is what LLM, some activities, some projects are also happening. So this also we can use. Then Surya Siddhanta, one of the most advanced ancient astronomical textbooks. So how we can connect? So Vastu Shastra, the science of architecture. So that integrate ecology and energy. Nati Shastra we know. Nyaya, one of the main thing I wanted to tell you, Nyaya philosophy, it's a logic that predates many Western theories. For example, Nyaya philosophy, Indian logic, we can connect with legal system as well. Now the studies are happening, some of the studies are happening, and I am also the part of that. So how we can connect this law with Nyaya system. All this together we can use, but the thing is how we are using that. The main thing is that how. So ethically, it should be culturally respectful and community inclusive. Misinterpretations, please avoid misinterpretations. So using content without consent, that also an important thing. So conclusion means, let me leave you with this thought. We often look outward for innovation, but true transformation begins when we look inward into our own tradition. Like, right, it's like that only. So IKS is not just a subject, it's a movement. Otherwise, I could say it's a learning, self-learning. Just it's a self-learning itself. So integrate this as an academic perspective, I could say integrate IKS with your syllabus, like even small modules also, something. That is why NEP also included IKS in that. So create learning tools like videos, ebooks, games. Games is a main important thing that also we can use based on IKS, Indian Knowledge System. Mentor the students in IKS research project. Protect your content. Like think creatively and copyright wisely. See this research proposals means, I could say that as Indian Knowledge System, there are some universities, they are offering research centers, and IKS division Delhi also giving more opportunities every time. I think 6 months. In each 6 months, they used to call for IKS centers and research proposals and major projects. So how this thing is successful, that up to us. So let me thank you everyone.